going to love her. And you are going to be absolutely blown away by how awesome she is on this subject. Like I said, I honestly believe she is the best in the world when it comes to the Dyatlov Pass incident. By the way, I got my new shirt on. You got aliens. There you go. You can get those. Put your order in. You can get those. All right. If you got aliens, you can order them up right now. Facebook.com/the SOR Vault. Hello, the Jim Christie. Cat Chaser, you're looking lovely tonight. Thank you for joining us. And, yeah, it's a good woo shirt night. Teodora Hadjiyska is our guest. She's listening in. She's laughing. It's like 5 a.m. where she is in Austria. Austria, right? You're in Vienna, Austria?
Right, yes.
Yeah. But
Vienna.
How does your hair look that good at 5 o'clock in the morning?
It's very natural. I'm actually good at wild lifestyle, going out. I look good when I'm dirty, not combed, not washed.
Hold on, my friend. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Teodora Hadjiyska, otherwise known as Teddy around these parts, is one of the world's leading experts when it comes to the Dyatlov Pass incident. Author of 1079, The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass, her research work is published on dyatlovpass.com, probably the greatest encyclopedia in the world on this extraordinary incident that is still unsolved and unknown. She is the first one to translate the case files and act as the conduit between the Russian source and English-speaking followers of this case. Her lifestyle is one of a traveler, explorer, mountaineer, and one of the greatest voices when it comes to this mystery. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Teddy, it's been a couple years since we've had you on Spaced Out Radio, but I could tell you this. You are one of the most requested guests that we have on this show because of your knowledge, professionalism, and your research into the Dyatlov Pass. Thank you for gracing our audience with your presence this morning for you.
Oh, thank you, Dave, for having me. It's a pleasure. And my dedication, that's about what I do during COVID times. I published a book.
I know.
It worked well for me, staying home. Otherwise, I wouldn't stay home and for so long. I just can't figure out the travel these days. So right after the show, I'm going to the mountains in the Alps to do some hiking.
Well, I wish I could get into the mountains here, but there's still about 2-3 feet of snow out there. And if you go to the higher... I can't go. I can't get to my Bigfoot sites that I want to get to. You know, I can't.
But you have the beard for the cold.
Yes, I do. I'm going in warm. I'm not going to lie. I'm going in warm. But, you know, the amount of snow, we just can't get in there. So I'm a little jealous that you get to go hiking now. I'm a little jealous.
Well, how about snowshoeing or skiing?
I'm way too fat for that right now. Way too fat.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be blunt with you. COVID has not been kind to my waistline. has not been kind whatsoever. I'm trying to do something about it, but I'm thinking more than doing right now, and that's never a good thing. But Teddy, I want to introduce you because there's always people listening in who may not know who you are or your research. How did you become, in my opinion, the number one researcher in the Dyatlov Pass for the last number of years? How did this happen for you?
I was traveling the world. I didn't envision myself sitting behind the computer and doing all this research. That wasn't my goal in life. While traveling, I just suffered a near-death experience with a car accident, which left me bedridden with a lot of injuries. And while I was after recovering after my fifth operation, I saw a movie which was called Devil's Pass, I believe. And after this horror flick, it said that it's based on real events. I started reading about Dyatlov. It was exactly 9 years ago. And since then, I divided my life between the mountain and this case. I became obsessed, not only because it was too hard to come up with the explanation of all of the weirdness in this case, but also because of my OCD. I was obsessed by the fact that the information is not neatly systemized. You can read it, you can find it, you can figure it out, especially for the new people that are trying to figure out who was found where, with what injuries, who was radioactive, who was crushed, who was where, and what's going on with all this weirdness. It was all in Russian. The Russians were very deep into the forums discussing details, and you couldn't actually find the basics about the case. So I started translating everything. For my own sanity, for my own peace of mind. This is my way. This is my profession. This is how I make money doing websites. And this was my media. This was the way to put the information in order. And that seemed to prove to have been in demand, because after my trip to South America for 6 months, this is how we travel. We used to travel with one-way ticket. We don't know when are we going to get back, and we don't carry mobile devices. We don't check internet. Before the car accident, we were even traveling without phones or anything with us to find us. And so I started just researching the case. I thought that maybe the quantity will lead to some revelation, to quality, will change to quality as the rule, the law says. And I thought that I will be able to realize, to find out, to come up with explanation with everything. But it proved that this is a bottomless pit. And the more you read, the weirder it gets. And just all the facts are coming together as if pieces of puzzles of more than one box. It's like you see all these pictures and you can't put it in one big the theory. So the next best thing happened. I thought that someone may come forward with information, new information that will shed light in all this mystery. But what happened is that the Russians reached out and started giving me their information, what they have dug out, figured out, because still we find things that are not known. For example, the diaries of the people that participated in the search in the 59. There's still notes that have been recovered from their houses and relatives, and there are a lot of information still coming out to light. And I am the first one to publish it. And then the best thing that happened is that I was invited by Discovery Channel to go to the pass, and it was like a dream come true. And I believe in miracles since then, because this is what I wished for Christmas. I said, oh my God, I want to go. I couldn't figure out how to afford all the equipment, because you have to buy the shoes alone are like $1,000, and you don't have these kind of things unless you want to go to Everest, and I'm hiking not in that altitude. And usually we go to places where you don't necessarily need a guide or a permit. I just received this invitation to go as an expert to Dyatlov Pass, and that worked very well for me because it was a revelation being on the spot. It was an eye-opening. It was like the information is not what is gonna show you the path to what really happened. And this is not what happened, what we believe, because Discovery Channel really pushed me to come up with a theory because I should do something on the past, check a theory, try things. And I was absolutely sure that the tent was where it was found, that this is exactly what we're looking for, the reason why the hikers cut up the tent from the inside. They went barefoot, going slowly down on the path of the avalanche, alleged avalanche, because there's no whatsoever evidence that there was any movement of the snow cover. But they went down, they lit a fire. So even if there was a paradoxical undressing, as it looks like, because they shed some clothes even on their way down to the ravine, even if there was something like that going on in the tent, then they seem to have come to their senses, make a fire, dug up a snow den to survive the night, put some branches, clothes at the bottom, and then something killed them in a manner next to impossible to explain, because they had injuries that even the coroner explained like being hit by a fast-moving car. This is like falling from the 8th floor or something like that. 3 of the hikers were injured in a way that you have to suffer a really high velocity incident. Something, a boulder has to crush you, you have to fall from a big altitude, something very big to flatten your chest. And this is exactly the state that this case found me. My incident that I started talking about that happened 9 years ago was going down with a truck from a volcano, an active volcano. We were with my husband. Really, we like Indonesia, and there are a lot of volcanoes there. So maybe it's easier to climb to a crater and look into the crater than going to Everest. At least the equipment is less expensive. And on the way back, we hitchhiked a truck, and the truck, the brakes just didn't work, and we slammed with 70, 80 kilometers per hour into a rock. So I was crushed with flail chest, 6 broken ribs, double fracture, shoulder blade totally shattered, elbow not existing, with subdural hematoma, with unconscious. And this is how I was brought to a cargo boat to take me to a mainland, where there wasn't even an X-ray machine to see what's broken in me. So I had to be evacuated. And in this state, I learned about Dyatlov case and the way they were injured, and I'm absolutely the same X-ray as one of the victims. One of the girls was crushed, her chest was crushed, and I knew that it's impossible to move like that because you're flat dead. No one can move you, no one can drag you, you're unconscious. And the pathologist said that she lived not more than 20 minutes after the trauma. So we have to forget that these injuries were caused in the tent 1 mile away from where the bodies were found. Whatever happened to these poor souls started at the tent, and then they moved slowly, organized in a very calm manner down the slope in an earshot distance next to each other. It seems like they were discussing something. They were not even looking behind them. They were not turning around looking for whatever scared them on the first place to leave the tent. And then they reached the bottom of the ravine, and We know that there are broken branches on the cedar tree under which the first two bodies were found. So people believe that they might have tried to climb the tree to hide from someone, or maybe look back at the tent if there is still light, if whoever made them leave the tent is still there. But, well, when I was at the pass, I saw that although there is a clear line between the cedar tree and the tent, it's a mile away, and there is always a whiteout at Huatzihou. This is the mountain that in Mansi means dead mountain. And I want to emphasize, is not mountain of the dead, although it sounds mysterious, but it's a rather than dead mountain because nothing grows there. There is no game, no animals, nothing, because it's too windy. It's not that high. It's only 1,237 meters high. But this is the place where you really feel that the earth is not really a circle, it's an ellipse, because 1,000 meters altitude feels completely different from what it is in Europe. It's very, very frightening. The weather is bad. It's northern Urals. It's minus 50 degrees Celsius. It's the leader of the group on which name the pass is named. It's called Igor Dyatlov. Wrote in the last entry in the diary. He wrote that the wind is with the speed that it's the same as an airplane takeoff. This is how strong the wind is. And this is exactly the wind that we experienced with Discovery Channel while we were shooting the episode. It's a whiteout from the snow being blown from the ground up, even if it's not snowing from the sky. And you can't see anything. So I don't believe they could see in the pitch black night anything from down there to where the tent was, and we're talking no headlights, no flashlights. They did have the two flashlights are in the picture, and one of them is really strange because supposedly the tent was found 3 weeks after the incident, but on top of the tent was 10 centimeters of snow, and there was a flashlight on the top of the tent with no snowflake on top of it. The flashlight itself was not covered with snow. So how did it happen to be on top? And many other things draw a different picture of what happened. We have these footprints that preserved for 3 weeks, being when you step with your feet, you kind of press the snow, and then the wind blows the loose snow around them, so they stick out like pillars. So this is how they found the footprints when they found the tent. They were visible for 500 meters going down. This is how we know how they walked down the slope in very organized, not panicking. No one was stumbling, dragged, being carried, nothing. We could see their feet going down, and even some people say that they were barefoot. Well, this is how the hikers were found. They were not wearing shoes, only socks and the inner boots of the ski boots. They're called valenki. They're made of woolen material. So this is they were usually used inside the tent, and some of them, depending on the design, inside the booth. But they were, you can go just look at the sky or pee outside the tent in Valenki, but you can't stay for long. You can't go down for sure. It's not going to keep your feet at all for marching down the slope for 1 mile. And they didn't change their decision. It's not like they walked for 100 meters and said, oh, it's too cold, this is not working out, let's go back. I can tell you, if you're interested about what the latest investigation of the Russian prosecutor's office voiced in 2020, they had experts. Now, I have to tell the our listeners that there is a statute of limitation right now, and no more testing is it's going to be accepted as legit. And actually, if any more bodies are dug up from the graves, because one of the hikers was exhumed and 2-3 years ago, and I can tell you of the results, but now this is going to be tampering with evidence. So the latest preliminary investigation that was opened in 2018 ended in 2020, and Kuryakov explained the behavior of the hikers the following way. He said that they must have heard, or some of them, they thought there's going to be an avalanche. So they cut open the tent from inside, because they experts measured that if you leave the tent through the cuts, you can save 30 seconds. You can leave for 15 seconds if you cut up the tent, and if you use the exit of the tent, it takes 45 seconds, something like that. And then Kuryakov says that they went outside and they waited to see what's going to happen in a safe distance of like 50 meters with a flashlight. But then they decided to go further down where there's some stone ridges, stones protruding from the snow. Now, you can't really see that at night, so they must have known that there are some stones down the slope. They have never been there before. They don't even have maps. This was supposed to be the first winter ascent to Mount Otorten when they were going. This was their goal. And they were like 20 kilometers from there, depending on which way you approach. And they were supposed to make the assault of the peak or climb Otorten the day after the incident, although they lost a day. Because even from the diaries, we know that they tried to climb on the ridge from one side to the other and pitch the tent again in the forest, but they encountered these strong winds that were like coming out of the engines of a plane takeoff. So they went back, and they had another night on the southern side of the Dyatlov Pass, and they lost a day on their trek. So they had one more night, and then the climbing the Otorten. Anyway, what I was trying to say, what I was getting at, is that they didn't know what to expect on the other side of the ridge. They have never seen the terrain. They they expected that there is going to be forest and trees. So they are going down in the middle of the night, threatened by something, towards something they don't know what's going on, without clothes, without shoes, keep walking. And according to Kuryakov, they stopped at the stone ridges, waited there, and this is half a kilometer away from the tent, and they decided that instead of finding their way back to the tent, it's safer or smarter, I don't know, to keep going down in the tree line in the forest where the wind, it's much less, and they're going to be sheltered by the wind, and make a fire and spend the night there. This is what Kuryakov announced as a result of his investigation in 2020. And also so every theory starts from why they left the tent, and then no theory gives any kind of a reasonable explanation how they died in the forest. Because if they decide, they are very experienced, I have to mention that they did have the qualification, they have been on treks like that, on this if not third category, which is the highest at the time, at winter categories. Yeah. So they knew. Mm-hmm.
Let's just hold it right there, because we do have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. And man, you pack a lot of information in such a short period of time. We are loving you tonight. Teodora Hadjiyska, the Dyatlov Pass, dyatlovpass.com. And you can go to Amazon, get her book, 1079, all about the Dyatlov Pass incident. She is brilliant. She's one of the best in the world when it comes to this topic, and we have her here for you tonight on Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's be honest. Isn't she amazing? She is amazing. Oh, I love her. Love her. Just fantastic. She is so smart on this topic. So smart. The Michael Leger. The Michael Leger. I honestly believe she is number one in the world when it comes to explaining this conversation. Gail, by the way, says, this is the most phenomenal person I have heard on this topic. I agree with you, Captain Shirk. I agree with you. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Just love her. No, that's a Nest tea. That's an iced tea, Michael Boyle. It's not a cherry Pepsi or a Pepsi. Hi, Juliana. How are you? Welcome to our chat room. Hello, Teddy.
Hey, Dave.
Our audience is absolutely loving you right now. Everybody is swooning over your beautiful accent. I don't even think they're listening to the show. They're just like all in heaven. Oh, listen to that beautiful accent.
I never managed to get rid of the accent, although I lived on the West Coast for 10 years. But everyone in California was encouraging my accent, like, what a nice accent, so I kept it.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Nicole in the chat room would like to know, because we ask all of our guests this now, what is your opinion of eating breakfast foods for dinner?
What is a breakfast food?
Like eggs and hash browns and pancakes and French toast.
I never have breakfast, so I would love to have my breakfast food for dinner. That's a go for me.
Oh,
yep.
Oh, I think you got up too early.
Why not?
I don't know. So
what's the difference where you have? If you love the food, what does it matter when you have it? When you're hungry? I love eggs.
I guess I'm just a weirdo. Apparently. I don't know. When we come back in a couple of minutes, let's just give a brief history run for people who may not understand the impact of the Dyatlov Pass. I also want to get into that recent study or the so-called conclusion of the Avalanche that was recently released.
Okay.
And then the rest of the show will get into the real juicy stuff that gets into your theories, which I believe are correct.
You do?
I do. Why wouldn't I?
Okay. Let's see what the rest of the world believes.
Oh, I think they're going to side with you. I'm just saying. Yeah, Katie says, Dave, you're right. Spellbound, and she is so on in her area of expertise. Yes, she is. Mm-hmm. We'll get into all the big questions in hour 2, everyone. Remember, questions come from you guys in hour 2. And we have about just over 1 minute. Hey, Mike's Adventures, good to see you. Hey, Ron, nice to have you here. And Logan, good to have you here. All right, we got 1 minute. Hey, Oscar. Good evening to you. Thanks, Cherry Pepsi Mike. I hope next time you accidentally get a diet, Cherry Pepsi. All right. Let's go. All right. We got about 20 seconds. Hi, Sojourner. Remember, a great way to support this show, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button if you're new. The super chat is open. Let's rock it with the second half hour coming up right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. From DyatlovPass.com, probably the top researcher in the world when it comes to this strange conspiracy theory out of the Urals in Russia back in the 1950s. DyatlovPass.com is the website for Teodora Hadjiyska. And Teddy, for people who may not be familiar with the Dyatlov Pass incident, give us a brief synopsis of what happened.
It happened in 1959 in Soviet Union. The hikers of the group, most of them were students of the Ural Polytechnic Institute in Sverdlovsk, which is now Ekaterinburg. It's a big, big city with a lot of industry. They have metal, the plants, the mines, a lot of things going on there. And it was one of the biggest cities at the time, even now. So there are students, members of the same sport club. Two of them already graduated from there. They left 10 people. One of them turned back on the third day because he was having a sciatica attack on his back nerve, and it was something he had. It didn't develop that track. There was a surprise appearance of someone that replaced one of the hikers that was much older than them, so they're not all students. They were average age 22, 23, and he was 38. So he was much older, and he survived the war, which is a miracle on its own. He was a trainer in schools and wanted to be certified of degree 3, class 3 of mountaineering, so he can apply for Master of Sports. He had quite a complicated life, which we know recently into much details. He was the one whose body was exhumed, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So they headed on the trek end of January and had to climb their goal, Peak Otorten, on the first days of February. That was supposed to be the first winter ascent. They dedicated their trek to the 21st Congress of the Party of Khrushchev at the time, who was which was an extra Congress to reinforce his power and leadership. So it was a lot of dedication for the Congress. And they didn't really mean it, according to the survivor of this hike. They call it survivor, although the one that turned back, he didn't survive anything. He just turned back on time. That was the best thing that could happen to him, his sickness, because he didn't went through the ordeal that killed the rest. So that's why I'm a little reserved to call him survivor. And he's clueless of what happened. He said that there were no indication of anything. And he said that the dedication is really a formal thing. It's a communism. When you dedicate something to the party, they allow you to do it if it's a good thing. So they gave them the equipment, the resources, supplies to go on that trek. They head to the trek. It's very common, normal, nothing unusual in the area. There are other groups doing similar treks. Actually, two of our hikers almost went with another group that I want you to hear me. The other group that no one knows about, actually they burned their tent in the first days of the trek, and still they managed to conquer 3 peaks for first time in winter to set up a record. And still some of them were sick, but they still managed to come back. They even participated in the search of the Dyatlov group. So you could go through a lot of trouble and survive. They were really experienced. So they go, start hiking, pitching up tents. It was normal practice to keep diaries. We have all of the cameras, pictures up to the last hour of before they died. The diary entries, we have 5 diaries. Everything was found in the tent. So they don't show up on the return date, on the control date when they were supposed to send a radiogram that they're back, telegram. They don't show up. Because the weather is really bad, and the member of the group that came back, he said that they might be 3 days late of the expected date. There was an alarm, didn't sound an alarm for at least a week until the relatives got really worried and start calling. And there is even a telegram to Khrushchev himself from the relatives of one of the hikers to start the search. So suddenly they realize the group is not coming back. The group, it's no signs of life from the group. And it's a precedent of the most massive search of this type for a missing hiking group. They send Air Force, they send students. There is headquarters of the search operation. Later on, military joins the convoy of the Yves de Lac, which is the local gulag for at the time. There are a lot of administration and military keeping them in the area of the pass. There are a railway is being built in the area, so there are a lot of troops there that also join the search. So it's a massive operation. We counted close to 120 people that participated. It was at the beginning of the search operation. They were all over the place because Igor Dyatlov didn't leave even a map of the route that they were going to. So they were looking in a lot of places. And at some point, they found the tent. Quickly, they found the tent, walking, which is strange because they were flying a lot over the area, but they were walking, trekking when they found the tent. And the tent was sticking out. We will come later back to the fact that it was not covered with snow. It was not hidden. There was nothing covering, no avalanche or snow slab or anything. So the tent is sticking out, supposedly being there for 3 weeks after it was left by the group. The first responders even cut some more openings in the tent, trying to find. They don't know what are they looking for, if they're survivors, if there are bodies inside. So they don't really preserve the site as a crime scene. So they make some more cuts. They see that there is no one inside. They take some of the food, of the documents, the diaries, and they head back to the base camp. That night, they even drank the remaining alcohol from the flask they found in the tent. And this is repeated as we don't really know that it happened, but most probably that they toasted to find their friends, for the health of their friends. And then some of the searchers that were local guides said, you better drink for them, for their eternal peace, because there's no way that they're alive. And they got almost beaten for that, because they didn't believe that they're still alive, their friends are still alive. They knew that they are not having any outerwear, shoes, that everything was left in the tent, that the tent was destroyed, and they saw the footprints on the first day of discovering the tent. Next day, after they sent the information to the headquarters, there was a telegram in the morning, radiogram, saying, don't go nearby the tent to preserve the site because we're sending dogs. But the radiogram reached the base camp after the first students already left for the daily work, and they followed the footprints which led them to a big cedar tree, and they found the first two bodies under the cedar tree. They were slightly powdered by snow. They were not even covered with snow. And the state of these two bodies is shocking, because they're almost naked. Their clothes, even the underpants that you sleep in the tent, they were torn. On the postmortem pictures, you see naked skin. Their legs are naked. They're all almost undressed. And they're obviously moved. They were in a very strange poses, as if dragged by their hands and just put next to each other. So these are the first two bodies, and the same day they find two more bodies in a straight line going up back to the tent in some half a kilometer up. So we have two dead under a big cedar tree, then two more bodies that are climbing supposedly back to the tent. The tent is a mile away from where they find the bodies. And 5 days later, they find the fifth body in between the two that are climbing up, also pointing up to the tent. And those are the first group. We call them the first group of bodies that were ruled to be dead from hypothermia, because they had slight bruises. One of the girls even had a baton-shaped bruise on her waist, on the small of her waist. They have things that look like defense wounds, like a close fight. Their knuckles are bruised. They have some injuries on their faces. Their hair is all messed up, like one of the girls that's very pretty. She was very messed up. People will say, well, why is she in such a state? Why does she look like that? Some say they had masks of horror on their faces, but we know that this is not possible. The postmortem, when I have talked to coroners, they say, well, that's a legend. You don't keep the expression that you die with, because the muscles go through some metamorphosis, and you don't keep that expression. And we don't see that, but you will hear about that they saw something horrible. They were trying to escape from something. It's interesting what happens with the investigation. At the beginning, they sent one person, Tempalov. Then there is another investigator who takes over the case, who is they call him a city investigator. He has no mountaineering experience. He is not prepared. He's trembling. He's not into his element when he's flown to the pass. He has to be explained the basics of mountaineering, how they pitch the tent. Is this normal? Is it set up right? The things that they find in the tent, what's missing, what's going on. So he's hard to really find his feet into the mountain, left even off. But at the beginning, he's doing his best. He's talking to the students. He's very open-minded. He investigates. He's questioning. Anyway, then something happens. They can't find the rest of the bodies. And 2 months go by. The search teams still change on the pass. It's really hard, the weather, the storms, the resources. They have to communicate supplies to be sent. The students go back to school. Military takes over. They dig with probes like half a meter away from each other, and they have to cover a vast space of deep snow. And then when the snow starts melting down, even the students come back to search for their comrades, and they find the last 4 bodies. 3 of them turn the case around because their injuries cannot be explained with anything. They're crushed by something like a car, something big like a boulder, and they're found all together in a pile on top of each other in a creek down the ravine with all these injuries. 3 of them didn't live more than 20 minutes after they were injured, but one of them, the 4th one, and that's interesting, has almost no injuries at all. Kulevatov has no other cause of death than hypothermia, and he looks like embracing the most injured one, who is the elder member of the group, Zolotaryov, the one that got exhumed. He is really, really broken inside. He has the most broken bones in himself. But all these people, all these bodies are found in the water, 20 meters away from a snow bivouac where they could curve and try to spend the night. So it's more probable to find these people, if they died from the cold, they should be tried to hide someplace and take shelter. That was not the case. They were found in the water, which is running all year long, even in winter, I mean. And no one tries to explain why are they there, what happened to them that they were not hiding in the snow then. Well, the investigation, the latest one, they explained that maybe when they started digging up the hole in the snow caved into a grotto, which the running water was forming, and they fell and they broke their bones like that. And I mean, this is the only attempt to explain their injuries, which really, if you have ever fallen, not in an avalanche, but just in a snow, you know that you don't break like that. You can twist an ankle, you can do something with your limbs, but you're not crushed the way that they were found. So there is no explanation about their injuries so far. I have one. I'll tell you later about that.
All right. I want to ask you, and thank you for the breakdown of everything regarding this case. Why has it been one of the biggest mysteries? Why the cover-ups? Why the secrecy? Does that have to deal with the Communist Party of the USSR back then? Or is it because of the nefarious ways that Russia's back then was a very proud, and probably still is a very proud society of people, and they don't like egg on their face in case it was something that they could have had control over with some of the theories that are out there?
It's all of it. The Communist Party was all over everything. They wanted to control everything. What happened when they found the last bodies is that the lead investigator that I was mentioning didn't really like being in the mountain. He had this strange idea to send the clothes of the last bodies found for radioactive testing, and they tested positive. So our hikers, on top of the weird cause of death that no one can come up with, leaving the tent, being frightened of something, being naked, they're radioactive on top of all this. So this is the origin of all the theories about the Cold War at the time, the Americans and the Soviets being in competition about developing the bomb, and the Russians blew up themselves, they nuked themselves the year before with the Kishtim disaster. So there are the explanation is that maybe KGB was trying to send some spies to meet the CIA with samples of radioactive subjects to prove that how are they advancing in the developing. Well, this is the most popular Russian theory of the book of Rakitin, which is not one person, but it's a team of authors. So it's really a team effort. He doesn't have any public appearances, so people don't know who he is because there is no person with this name. This is the biggest book in Russia. And the theory in that book is that on this godforsaken place at the end of the world, CIA and KGB agents met and something went really wrong. I don't know which of the two parties understood that this is, they have been, doesn't happen, and they killed them, something like that. I don't know. I can interpret this exotic theory in its full, in his full strength, because I can believe in it. First of all, even Dyatlov group didn't know where they're going to spend the night. If you look at their route, they're zigzagging. They're trying to overcome the pass, going back. We're not sure where the tent was. So how can anybody meet them there where no one knew where they're going to end up that night? They also turned back. Someone was supposed to follow them and go through all the villages and population settlements. That's the only place where you can reach that mountain from. And no one saw them. No one knew about them. And the rest of the group, besides the alleged KGB spies, which are believed to be the elder member Zolotaryov who joined at the last moment, and one of the first bodies, Krivonishenko, who was working in the enterprise that blew up Kishtim Mayak. It was a very secret plant. And there is another member of the group, Kulevatov, who also had a very strange life. He figuratively speaking, he won the lottery by being sent to practice his job in Moscow, from Sverdlovsk to Moscow, but he decided to go back. And we interpret this as being offered by KGB to finish his studies and then approach Krivonishenko to recruit him to become an agent. And then Krivonishenko resigned from Mayak 2-3 months before this trek. We don't know if his resignation was accepted, but after the incident, Mayak, the secret plant, repeatedly sent telegrams to question if the body of their former employee was found. So they were really interested to recover the bodies. The party was very involved to recover the bodies. They wanted to make sure that they didn't fled the country and became saboteurs or I don't know what. This is one of the theories, that the party had someone spying on them inside the group, and who else than Zolotaryov. And there are a lot of theories about also a secret testing of rockets flying over the ridge. A lot of sightings of lights in the sky. Even the foundation, the Dyatlov Pass Memory Foundation, their theory is that some test of military secret weapon went wrong and fell on top of them and killed them somehow.
And right there, I'm going to get you to hold on, Teodora, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We're going to continue on trying to figure out what actually happened at the Dyatlov Pass back in the 1950s, where 9 hikers went out on a journey not knowing that they would become one of the biggest mysteries this world has ever seen. And of course, Teodora has a brand new book out, which you can find on social sites like Amazon. 1079, The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass. Make sure you pick it on up. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. That's good stuff right there. Good stuff. Are you having fun yet?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Or the listeners?
No, you.
I have so much to talk. I can spend hours talking about the case. I feel like I start a thought. I start to explain a line of something and I never finish it. This is how this case goes.
Well, let me quickly run my dogs outside. I'll be right back, okay?
Sure. Okay.
What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi. This is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hey, space travelers. This is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to Chive.
All right, I'm back. Hey, Bobby, how you doing? Shelly, nice to have you here. We've got about 90 seconds. Oh, hey, Clam. How you doing? Off-World Adam, good to see you. Eric Files, nice to have you here. All right. We've got just about 45 seconds. Thank you to all our new listeners. Thank you for the thumbs up and the thumbs down, even though we haven't got any. Thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. The super chat is open. And, of course, you can do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Grab your Spaced Out Radio swag. As, I got the new shirt on, the You've Got Aliens shirt. Because, you might have aliens. Thank you, TH, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Ken in Dallas, Texas. Welcome, man. Thanks for coming on in. We've got 10 seconds. 10 seconds joining us. And, here we go. Teddy Hadjiyska is our guest. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Second hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really enjoy earning your listening ears around this beautiful continent we call North America and around the world. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Revolution Radio. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Oh, why is this not showing up? Where is it? There it is. Labtebricol. Labtebricol is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Teddy Hadjiyska, her website, Dyatlovpass.com, and I'm telling you, this is probably the most absolute, most informative research website on the Dyatlov Pass. She is one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, on this topic, and she has a brand new book out called 1079, The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass. You can find that on Amazon right now. Teddy, welcome back.
I'm here, Dave.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. So
Glad to be with you.
Right before the break, we were talking about potential reasonings to what happened and what caused this. I know you have a theory. We're going to get to that in a few moments. But what do you think of this scientific theory that came out just a couple of months ago, back on around January 28th, where scientists claim that it was an avalanche, a small delayed avalanche, that may have been responsible for killing these hikers/skiers in the Dyatlov Pass? Is that even possible, considering the injuries that were sustained by these people?
They don't claim that the avalanche killed them, and the authors of this theory, the paper, the scientific paper, they say they didn't solve the mystery. just confirmed the very old theory of Buyanov about a snow slab being launched on the slope, and that to be the reason for the hikers to leave the tent. They don't solve anything. They are just answering the question, can in general, in principle, avalanche to happen in such a small angle of slope in a mountain, not on that mountain, because we have photos and proof that avalanche or a snow slab or any movement of the snow did not occur on that particular location. So their scientific paper, on my opinion, is branded by Dyatlov Pass incident for popularity, for PR. I don't know. It's a good paper. I have asked. First of all, the publication is full of formula that for the normal basic reader are absolutely unreadable. We don't know what they mean, but we have asked the Russian journalist asked the scientists to tell them what do they mean, and they're very good research about a strange avalanche that can happen when three factors, I believe I'm quoting right, three factors are in place. One is the location of the tent, which is on a very shallow slope, angle of the slope, but that is located under a shoulder, like the terrain has some kind of elevation, so it can accumulate snow to fall from there. The second factor being, I believe, a snowstorm, strong winds. I'm not sure what was the third factor. I believe it was low temperatures and really strong wind, katabatic wind. They take from Kuryakov announcement of his findings the fact that the tent was under a terrain shoulder, but they don't take the proof that there was no storm and no abnormally strong winds at that time, at that night. So they answered the question, can an avalanche happen on a slope like that? With a lot of the scientific proof, and it can, but we all know that it didn't. So this is like a saying, yes, a bear could kill them, but it didn't. So I can say a lot of things could have happened, but we have a proof that it did not happen. There is no way that anything kill them because the tent was sticking out. We have photos of the tent not being covered by snow. So the fact that this scientific paper became so popular by not adding anything to an old theory, to me is absolute PR. It's National Geographic, and they say that they used the 3D modeling code of Disney. They went to Hollywood. So to me, I was so amazed that the Americans are keen to solve their own incident they're solving it by going to Hollywood and using some movie 3D modeling. And all the Russians just raise their eyebrows and say, what are they talking about? We know this theory. They even use the drawing of Buyanov publication, and they're just adding to the theory that no one is happy with, especially the relatives. No one accepts the theory that there was an avalanche. And even the supporters of this theory do not claim that the avalanche killed them. They say that this is what drew them out of the tent in such a manner, but to cut the tent from the inside. No one explains how they died, because obviously they were moving on their own for a mile down and something happened down. So this is partially of what happened on the slope to the tent, a snow slab. This is all that the paper is about. It doesn't solve anything. And the authors of the paper do not claim that they have solved anything, but they're happy of the clickbait titles of all the publications that, oh, is this a new solution to the 60-year-old case? No, it's not. And actually, it's just a publicity stunt for this anniversary. And I don't understand why no one sent a journalist to the annual conference in Ekaterinburg. Maybe, okay, Russians don't give visas, but they do have string reporters there that they could send, because there were announcements in that conference about magnetic anomalies, about a lot of things. And I was surprised how ignorant people are. When I published that there are magnetic anomalies there, that someone that was going there for 10 years, twice a year during summer and winter, and there is data that shows anomalies at that particular ridge, you know what the comments on Facebook were? Oh, now I know I should take off the magnets of my fridge. It's so dangerous. Oh, that could kill you. No, this is a very important turning point in our theory, and I'll tell you why is that important. This is much more important than the scientific paper that the Swiss published. But this is a material that was ordered by, I believe, New York Times. I don't know, some big paper, and they have been working on this for months, and the first publications were almost like, I remember on Halloween they were trying to come up with a very interesting way to introduce the case. It was these same Swiss researchers. The first publication was, should we go with the unknown Mansi, or I don't know, some creature there like the Yeti, mystic explanation, or should we go with the scientific explanation? So they claim that this is a scientific explanation, and all of all over the world, people are contacting me to ask about information, the scientific explanation of something that did not happen on Dyatlov Pass. I don't know what that paper proves, but the fact that it's using Dyatlov Pass as a brand is just gaining the readers among the followers of the case.
Okay.
That's all there is.
Okay, so what is your theory of what happened? It's in your brand new book that you have out that the audience can go get, and I highly suggest they go check it out if they want probably the most knowledgeable book on this subject. It's called 1079, The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass. What is Teodora Hadjiyska's reasoning to what happened after all the years of research you have done?
I never considered the book. I never wanted to write a book because I thought that this is a stale way of presenting facts, and because there are so many people that start their involvement with the case by writing a book. They just read something. Oh, here is a theory of what happened. They spice it up, because I have to point out that what we have discussed and covered so far is not even the tip of the iceberg. Everywhere you poke this case, something very weird pops up, like the date on the cover. It's the 2 weeks before they were missing. There is a testimony, there is questioning of people in other places, no reasoning. Why are they questioned there about a case that didn't even happen yet? There are people that claim to know about the death of a hiking group before they were missing. There's spottings of the tent and bodies before the tent was found. There is total discrepancy of the dates when the tent was found and by whom. Then all the items that were found in the tent and then brought back to the nearest the airfield in Ivdel, they change numbers, like how many skis, how many knives, how many backpacks, the blankets, the this, the that. Everything is controversial. There are different testimonies of people that say different things in this case. And I thought that by just publishing every new finding and documents on the site, that's my role, that's my media, that's my format. And the Russians joined me. they supported me. They said, oh, you're doing so much work. We're going to help you with things that we find, we figure out, and they start giving me information. And also, you need to know that there is an underlying research that's going and not made public. From journalists, from people, from the foundation, they have information that they don't want to make public, not for reasons other than decency. There are a lot of gruesome details. Some of them we don't want to get them out because the readers, the public, they don't have any limitations of what to show publicly. And this is a very well documented case. All of the funerals, the morgue, it's very morbid. And this is one of the appeals to that case, because there is a lot of pictures, a lot of people, dead bodies, missing tongues, missing eyeballs. It's gruesome. And I started pulling back on publishing all these details. So I'm doing 3D modeling of the bodies. Anyway, I never considered a book. Then the Russians started, I climbed the ladder of who is the top, most fundamental researcher. And he reached out, started directly talking to me. And there is a hierarchy in the Russian researchers, like the bottom. They said, well, ask me. If I cannot answer, I will ask someone else that knows. And then they ask the next. The next is like the Russian dolls. And I reached the one that's the farthest in the chain. And one time I never considered that someone that is wise and really knows the case to support a theory. I thought there is no theory that explains all that. And at some point, his name is, I want you to remember, to hear that name and remember it, Igor Pavlov. This is the first name on my book, which is our book. Igor Pavlov said one time to me, yes, I do have a theory. And that point, something in me curved, became very small, because I said, yeah, right now I'm losing respect for that person. This was my mentor in the case. I knew everything. This was my last instance of knowledge. Like, he knew everything. He's actually deciphering the texts that are written with pencil in minus 50 degrees, all the documents, everything. And he's been doing this for decades. And when he said he has a theory, actually, one time I told him, these injuries really match a fallen tree, but there is no tree around where the tent. And he sent me a poster of Lenin lifting his hand and saying, this is the way. So I said, no, okay. So what do you think happened? And the theory, why and how it happened, is actually his theory. He gave it to me. I knew it instantly. I have a physical response to this theory. I know that this is what happened, but this is not why the book was written. The book is written because that's the only way to make the reader go through all of the evidence and facts of the case, because it's like a very dusty boxes of old files that you have to read through, and we are not giving you the ready theory, like, oh well, it was the Yeti, or oh, it was the UFO, oh, a rocket fell down. The book describes the 2 weeks of the beginning of the trek till the end of the trek, with all the people that are related, took part, present. We dug their lives up in the book. It's only mentioned how they lived at that time when the incident happened. Then on the site, you can read all the biography and everything. Only events related to that case are in the book. And when Igor told me the second part of the mystery, which is the only mystery in this case, there is no way that anyone can come up with this without knowing the politics, the history, the how the lives was going, who was working there. Because in this place, up to the moment, people imagine only creatures in the forest, Yeti, snowmen, then the Mansi, the evil religious fanatics that could have killed them, and then maybe Gulag for the people that are really knowledgeable about history, that there are gulags there. And the next is the party, the party that killed them because they witnessed something. There are theories that they were kamikazes testing new whatever went wrong, like launching meteorological balloons with poisonous gas, and when meteorological rocket destroyed them, they were exposed to this gas that poisoned them. And theories. I'm talking about theories. And I want to tell you what Igor told me. I said, there is no tree around the tent. And he said, well, why do you think the tent was there? And that makes a lot of sense, because most of the Russians believe that the tent was not put there by the group. There is no reason for the tent to be there. The tent is a very old, stitched 2 tents to fit 10 people, designed to hang on trees. This is how every trek went down. You found trees for heating, to cook on, water to wash in, and the terrain allows that. Every night you can you can build a camp in the forest. This is how the tent was built usually. The tent where it was found is not on their route. There is no reason to pitch the tent there unless there is a storm or something an emergency that you need to stop right there in your tracks and build the tent to survive. The new investigation showed that there was no storm, there was nothing to call for emergency to go on the ridge. Even if you are something happened that you have to pitch it. They had no place on the ridge. They were supposed to go over the pass that we now call Dyatlov Pass, and it is just going up and down. That's it. They were not supposed to go along the ridge. This doesn't make any sense. Even if you decide to do some challenging night at the ridge, there are rocks there. You can shelter yourself at the rocks, and they're very close to the place where it's found. The tent is found in the most ridiculous, uncomfortable place where no one would pitch a tent there. Now, if you stop believing that the tent was pitched there by the group, things get much easier, because you put the tent where it's supposed to be, down in the forest. Then you look at the way they cut it out, because I do believe that they cut it out with their own knives. The only reason to cut a tent out is to make your way from under a tree, because trees fall in the forest. And the traumas and the injuries make perfect sense. Since I learned this theory, I started going to incidents with trees fallen on top of tents. I started attending autopsies of people killed by trees. And I talked to pathologists, and they all confirm that this is the one incident when one person is dead and the one next to him gets up and walks away, because this is like the rapture. People sitting, lying next to each other can be the life and death in a matter of seconds. All the cuts in the tent make sense. The behavior of the hikers after that, the ones that survived, were trying to help the ones that trapped under the tree. You cannot move a fallen tree. You have to cut it. They couldn't cut it. So they were high on adrenaline trying to help them.
A tree. That's your theory. A tree. We're going to continue.
Yeah, but
we're going to continue
there is
that.
more.
There is
Okay.
more. I know with you there is always more. And that's what we're going to look into with our guest tonight, Teodora Hadjiyska, probably the #1 researcher in the world when it comes to the Dyatlov Pass incident and what really happened to 9 hikers in the Ural Mountains of Russia in the 1950s. Teddy will continue with us right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
You know.
I can't believe you're blaming the trees. You know, I go out in the forest and cut trees every year. It's it's scary. It's scary.
And you know what a tree can cause?
Oh yeah, yeah.
To a person.
Yeah. It can flatten you.
But they were flattened. You can even tell the positions that they were laying inside the tent when the tree fell down. It's mapped on their bodies.
Well, I can tell you this. I almost had a tree. I was cutting a tree hoping it would fall. I'm standing here hoping it would fall this way, and it fell this way.
Oh my God.
On me this year. Yeah, it didn't hit me. I got out of the way because I have this theory that the minute the tree starts to fall, I run in the opposite direction. It's kind of safe that way.
It's good to know what opposite means.
Yes. Well, you got to pay attention because that could definitely kill you. That's not fun. Not fun at all. So, that's what I think. I still think it's aliens. I'm sticking with aliens, but I'm gonna hear your tree thing coming up here. You know, even if they have bark imprinted on their chest, I'm still sticking with aliens.
You could be the aliens, okay.
Breaking my heart here, Teddy. Breaking my heart. So, Teddy, I'm going to let you make the choice because it's that time of the night where I have to mention one of my sponsors, which is Mighty Moose Beard Oil. Would you like me to massage in the True North blend or the Winter blend? Your choice.
What was the first one? True
North blend.
True North.
All right, there we go. Teddy makes the call as we are going to say thank you to Gary the Dutchman for creating Mighty Moose Beard Oil, taking care of my beard, you know, because he does it all the time. Every night, I just drop a little bit of that right in my hand like so. Make sure you put that back in because you don't want to spill the bottle. Rub it into your hands and then massage it in. Just massage it in. That's it. That's all I do to take care of my beard. MightyMooseBeard.com. Gary the Dutchman is, and you know, you never get a break from anything from a Dutchman. But Gary the Dutchman is going to give you a discount by using promo code SOR2019. And for the ladies, yes, this may be beard oil, but because it is all natural and no chemicals, you can actually use it in your hair. And it actually feels pretty good, makes your hair feel great. It helps eliminate split ends, which is very nice. I know there have been some ladies in our chat room who have bought it, and it works. MightyMooseBeard.com. You have your choice of 4 different oils. I'm a big fan of True North and of Winter Blend. Actually, I'm a fan of all of them. So make sure you hit up Gary the Dutchman. He'll give you a deal when you use promo code SOR2019. So check it on out, and your beard will look great. Hey, gorgeous Larry, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well, brother. Hope you're doing well. There we go. Now my hair looks perfect. Well, not really. Now I gotta fix it. Oh, I'm just gonna put my toque back on.
No, you look good. Stop with the cap.
All right, just for you, Teddy. Just for you.
Yes.
Just let it hang. I'll let it hang.
It's nice. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
You like a silver wolf.
Oh, yes. All right, we have just under or just over 1 minute. And 1 minute to go. Want to say a big thank you to Recluse, Dr. Marty, and TH for the amazing super chats tonight. Really helps support what we do here on Spaced Out Radio on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who has given us a thumbs up so far and everyone who has tuned on in. And if you're new and hit that subscribe button, thank you so much. We're almost edging towards 11,000. We only got a few more to go before we hit 11,000 subscribers on our channel. So we'd really appreciate to earn that from you if you do not mind. And we're about 25 seconds away. And then we'll start the second half of the show. And for you, Rob, in the Spreaker chat room, Rob and roll, man. Rob and roll. There you go. All right. 10 seconds. Teddy Hadjiyska is our guest. I love your last name. I love saying your last name, by the way. Hadjiyska. Just feels good. Hold on. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the host of this show, and I got a fantastic beard, so we'll just clarify that right off the bat. And I got to tell you that, you know what, you can check out all of our archives for free. We keep them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with the leading expert from the Dyatlov Pass incident, Teddy Hadjiyska. And man, I love saying that last name, Hadjiyska. She is looking lovely in Vienna, Austria this morning for her, late night for us here in Canada, and all of North America for that matter. But her website, dyatlovpass.com, she's got a great book out, which I highly recommend to you. It is called 1079, The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass. Teddy, welcome back.
Glad to be with you, Dave.
All right. I want to ask you, right before the break, you think it was trees falling that caused all of these deaths, or started the cause of all of these deaths of the Dyatlov Pass?
Correct. A tree.
One tree.
It's enough. Yep. You can actually see the tree mapped on the bodies. Everyone agrees, even the people that cannot explain what that high velocity impact was with, that two of them, Zolotaryov and Dubinina, were hit at the same time, because it is something very flat and big and coming with a very high speed on top of them. One was hit in front of the chest and the other one leaning on the side. And the injuries are consistent with exactly something that can not flatten all of you, but just your chest. And then we have the caved in skull. And even all of the rest of the bruises and the injuries on the face and the open parts of the bodies of the ones that were presumed to have died from hypothermia. They did die from hypothermia, but they also had some bruising and strange scratches and everything. So imagine if you're in the tent and a tree falls on top of you. with all of the branches spreading out and everything. This can cause all the diversity of injuries that we see in the bodies. It's so hard to explain why were they injured with so strange and very different ways. I have talked to coroners that have autopsied the victims of fallen trees, and I can tell you that there are no two bodies that show the same injuries. They're all so different. The last one that happened in Sofia, the city where I'm from, and I had easy access to the morgue and the pathologists that were examining the body. The woman didn't even had a broken bone. She just had the impact. She died from mechanical asphyxiation, I think it's called, and she had a gray foam coming out of her mouth. And this is exactly how Doroshenko was found. And people say that he was tortured by KGB, that they had this technique of sitting on your chest so that you can't breathe, and this is what. And some of the hikers had their feet burned, and they said the conspiracy theorists say that the KGB tortured them by putting their feet in the fire and sitting on their chest, while the much more natural explanation is that the stove that was inside the tent and was designed by Igor Dyatlov to heat them, not to cook, but just to heat them during the night, fell on top of some of them, and this is how they got their burns. This explains perfectly the burns and basically all of the injuries that happened to them. Then let's move to the second part, because if you say that some of the evidence could be tampered with, and you can look for all kind of cause of death that can, and anything that can cause this injury, I can't believe no one came up with a tree, because conspiracy theorists said that they were killed by men, either escaped prisoners or Mansi were jumping on their chest. This is how they broke their ribs, or even that they were lifted with helicopters and they were just pushed to fall down from the helicopter, and this is how the injuries were called. This is all crazy theories, crazy talk, but they all presume that the evidence was tampered with, and a lot of them say that the tent was moved, that everything was staged, that basically we can't believe anything we find. But then why is it so far from the mind to see that this could be caused by a tree? Because it makes perfect sense. And then what happened, according to Igor Pavlov? This is the part that I couldn't come up by myself, because you have to know the people and the processes and the events at that place. I don't understand why other books look at the history and the overall Soviet Union picture at the time, but they don't look closer into that particular mountain and who was living there and who was present exactly at the night when they died, or the close by days. And this is what Igor Pavlov presented me with. What do you do when you find dead hikers? You lift them up with helicopters and bring them to the nearest morgue. And then you see how all of the testimonies that no one can fit in any theory make perfect sense, because we have the testimony of a nurse from the morgue that she was brought to clean 6 bodies that match the members of Dyatlov group with the injuries and all. And the way that the incidents in the mountains were handled at the time, when there is no sign of foul play, and it's obvious that they died in an incident and by hypothermia, a coroner is called for external examination, and he signs the papers that they died in an incident. The families were notified. They come, they bury them. Very often, right there in the nearest cemetery, and the nearest to the incident settlement and cemetery. This is what was offered to the families. They objected, and the bodies were brought back to Sverdlovsk, where they were buried. But at the time, they didn't know whose these bodies were. And then we have the sightings of bodies and the tent from pilots in dates much preceding the date of the official finding of the tent. And no one is believing them because it doesn't make sense. So Yeti makes sense, religious fanatics make sense, escapees make sense, any other crazy theories make sense. But the fact that people claim and describe the tent and bodies in different places are not taken seriously because this can be. Well, what if it is the case? What if the nurse who throughout whole her life, she says and describes the bodies that were found back on Dyatlov Pass, some of them were clean, the other ones were not clean. They were all with pine needles and dirt, and but some of them were absolutely clean. Then they had changed. The clothes didn't belong to the bodies. Some of the clothes didn't belong to the bodies that they were found on. And if we presume this to be because whoever died, the rest tore parts of the little they had on the bodies to warm up themselves. But then we have the clothes scattered on the ground that they were not used at all. This is what we call the paradoxical undressing. And so we explain every fact on its own without being able to put it in a bigger picture that explains all of them. If the bodies were lifted to the morgue, they were prepared for burial, and then the local chiefs of the military units, the party, the Yves de Lac, and the Northern Expedition Geological the enterprise that were digging up the mountain at the moment, and they also wanted to show some success and findings of uranium for the 21st Congress because this is the most expensive mineral ore that you can find there, resource in the mountain. It's used for the bomb, and this was very the most prospectus place to find it because of all the magnetic anomalies. This is how they used to search for uranium. They were measuring the magnetic anomalies, and wherever they see that it's probably could be some finding, they drop dynamite or other explosives to make craters in the ground. They send ground check groups to take cores and samples and then send them back for a testing. They did not expect to have anyone on the ground. They never secured the area where they were blasting and there are accounts for people being in danger just because as they were traversing through some remote area, suddenly everything around them started blowing up because they were digging for minerals. And and this is so we're not saying that they were killed in a blast because there are no signs of such a thing. We're saying that there were people working there. This was their workplace. And in exactly at the time of the 21st Congress, if there were incidents and bodies dropped dead, the way that the party dealt is to punish people. This is exactly what they did about the deaths of Dyatlov group. They just fire-sacked and punished 5 people that had nothing to do. They were from Sverdlovsk, the sports club, the university. They just found people to punish, and life went on exactly the same way, and the practices of mountaineering and hiking went the same way. No safety measures, nothing. It's just they didn't allow permits for 3 years for groups to go there because they didn't know what happened. No one could explain. This is why they closed the case. They didn't prematurely close the case. They gave it 2 months, 1 month extension, and they closed it because the lead investigators started talking about UFOs and extraterrestrial energy sources.
It's always aliens,
that killed them.
It's always aliens.
Always aliens.
I know. There are people who don't believe that, but I do have a couple of questions for you because the whole tree incident, I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm not saying your information is wrong, but just some curiosity here because reading the chat room, you fired everybody up. They're all like, what, a tree? You got to be kidding me.
A tree.
But I do have a couple of questions. Number one, out of all the photos that I have ever seen of Dyatlov Pass, and I've seen a number of them, I don't ever recall seeing a fallen tree near the tents where the bodies were found.
Well, you used in one sentence the words tents and bodies. They were no near close to each other. They were a mile away apart.
Okay. So either way, I still don't recall seeing a fallen tree.
But the tent is moved a mile up the slope, and the bodies were found in the forest, and there are plenty of fallen trees in the forest.
Well, I'm not denying that there aren't fallen trees, all right? Because if you live in the forest, trees fall pretty darn easy, and trees are a hazard. I know I have 9 of them that stand about 80 feet tall in my front yard. I worry every day that one day they're going to snap and land on my house. It is very possible, and I'm not denying it. But why do you think it would take so long then to come out with the theory of trees? I mean, trees seem to be a very logical explanation that wouldn't take 60 plus years to figure out.
I'll tell you what's very new and novel in our theory. Everyone presumes that if anything was tampered with, like the tent was moved or any of the bodies were found prior and anything is hidden, that the party responsible for that killed them or had a motive to kill them. And that makes all of the theories crazy because no one wanted them dead, no one killed them on purpose, and no one could be held responsible in under normal circumstances. The situation was that someone had to be punished, and the closest to the incidents were the the Northern Expedition. You can see the telegrams are sent always between Sulman, who was the head of the Northern Expedition enterprise, and someone on the pass. You see people inserted in the search and in the investigation that had no place to be there. Why would the convoy from the Gulag, the sappers and the railroad military units, and basically all of the military in the region take part in the search of hikers when the UP, the Ural Polytechnic Institute, sent all of the manpower needed? They could, even if it was prolonged longer, then they could be changed with military at a later time. But they were inserted at the very beginning without any order from above. They volunteered. I mean, the chiefs and the leaders of the parties on the regional level decided to take part. And if something needed to be transported, or a Mansi to be recruited, or the morgue to be used, or anything on a local level, they were in charge of all that, and they were drinking buddies, and all of them were not murderers. They were family people with kids 3+ and up to 7 kids. They didn't want to become from like director of the gulag to become a mate of the gulag, because this was a short step, and there was no a lower place to be sent but to be punished in the gulag where they were already living in. But there were managers there. And if someone would be punished, there were a lot of precedents about work-related accidents. This is exactly how the party dealt with it. Just the highest post involved at the work process was punished, and that's all that happened. So they did take care of the bodies. They thought it's a different group. This is why the questioning started earlier. They presumed it's a group that was in the area, and one of the hikers, his family was from Północne, exactly where the first document dated 2 weeks before the Dyatlov group was missing started. They started questioning because they thought a different group was missing. And then in 10 days, that group came back, and they suddenly realized that the 6 bodies they have in the morgue is not that group, that there are more bodies. They don't know in what shape are they. And then suddenly instead of trusting them to tell them what to look for, they learned that all of the Air Force is coming to look for them, that the party, Khrushchev and Moscow and leadership, everyone is making this the highest priority search operation of all times. And they got scared for their skin. And imagine, the only thing they did in their mind, they didn't consider themselves villains and evil doing, and the only thing they did is move the tent. And we have a book that came just 3 months before the incident that explains exactly the same scenario. Their colleague, which is geologist, came across bad weather. He pitched up the tent on the ridge, and a snow covered half of his tent. They had to cut out their way out of the tent, couldn't get all their clothes. They went down the slope and survived. And that book is on their nightstand at the time of the incident. They have basically the screenplay.
Okay, so as we got about 2.5 minutes left before we go to break at the top of the hour, I want to try and piece this together for my own mind here. Okay, they set up a camp, tree falls, lands on a couple of them, correct? Am I right so far?
3 of them.
On 3 of them, kills those people instantly because trees hurt. They do. And
correct.
So that sent the other ones scrambling out of the area to maybe get safe. What doesn't explain...
No. They see helicopters flying above them all the time, and we have maps and dates that they were looking for anomalies, for magnetic anomalies, and there were a lot of helicopters flying above them. They were going up the ridge for help, to call for help.
So that's how the tents got separated from where the original camp was.
No, the conspirators moved the tent much later. When they learned that they're going to be coming to search for the bodies, they didn't want the search party to find the tent under the tree.
Okay.
Because they will be blamed because they're blasting in the area.
And they weren't supposed to be.
Well, they're supposed to secure the area, but even if they're not, because most probably they didn't cause the tree to fall. But who do you think would be punished for that? Someone had to be punished, because this is how the party dealt with problems and incidents. The families need someone to be held responsible for the life of their kids. Right. And Tempalov, the first investigator, he says in document, I see craters, and this is always related to fallen parts of a missile in the sky, and this is what made the crater. No one related the crater with the blasting, although we have a telegram. I'm basing the theory own facts and documents. We have a telegram from the searchers telling Moscow to stop the blasting because it's interfering with their work and they cannot go in the area. So they're blasting in the area where the Dyatlov group is missing, but no one relates all this in one picture.
Okay.
We have evidence of the blasting. We have the flight map of the routes of the helicopters that were looking for uranium in these precise dates and place.
Well, that would make sense. That would make sense, but there's a lot more questions that we are going to have for you, Ms. Teodora Hadjiyska, coming up in hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio. I love this topic, and we have one of the best researchers, if not the best, when it comes to the Dyatlov Pass incident. Was it aliens? Was it Yeti? Was it the Manzi? Was it the Russian military? Or was it just a simple Douglas fir that decided it had a bad day and had enough life and decided to come crashing on down? Teodora Hadjiyska's website, dyatlovpass.com. We love her around here, and we're going to continue the talk right after this on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear. This is awesome. This is awesome. I'm just going to run my dogs outside. We got about 6 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Captain Shirk will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures.
All right, I'm back. Hey, so much. Good to have you back. It's a good show. It's a good show. Thurston Howell III, how are you? M. Coons, how are you? Good to have you here. Teddy's pouring herself more water.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So for some of you who may be dealing with some audio issues or anything, my one laptop computer where my audio runs through is apparently decided in the Microsoft way that it wants to update. So we're holding off on the update until after the show. So that might be an issue as to what's happening, but otherwise we're sounding pretty good on our end. So we're going to run with it. I'm a rebel that way. I am a rebel that way. So, yes. So Teddy, I have a question for you. Do you want
Go ahead, Dave.
do you when we're scheduled for another half an hour, do you want to stick around for another hour, or do you want to just finish the half hour?
No, I can. I have an hour.
Okay, perfect. We're going to do that then. We'll skip the news. Sorry, Captain Shirk. By the way, Captain Shirk just bought your book. Hold on.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you need to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Labtebricol. Labtebricol is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We got her for another hour here. Teodora Hadjiyska. She is, I'm going to say, the top researcher in the world when it comes to the Dyatlov Pass incident. And she's sparking a little controversy here in that it's not aliens, it's not Yeti or Bigfoot, it's not the Manzi tribe, it's not direct energy weapons, it's not nuclear blasts, it's a tree. A tree. We're going to get more into this with Teddy, her website, dyatlovpass.com. And if you're like Captain Shirk, you can go buy her book right now, which is 1079. The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass. You can find it on Amazon. Teddy, welcome back.
I am back.
Me too.
With you, Dave.
Me too. And thank you for going another hour. We really do appreciate that. That is just phenomenal, especially on this topic. Teddy, you stirred up a lot of controversy because there's a lot of people out there who want the woo to happen. They want it to be a Yeti. They want it to be aliens. They want it to be something of a supernatural type force. For a lot of years before you came up with the theory of the fallen tree, what was your belief previous to this?
I didn't had really a theory in favor. I was pushed to choose one by discovery before going to the past. And what I believed, I couldn't imagine why would anyone move the tent. I was against the criminal theory that someone caused them, that wanted them dead. We need to say that no money was touched, the alcohol, the chocolate, the loin, the meat, the equipment, knives, boots, anything that could be really valuable for someone that escaped from prison, because this is a big part of the population back there. I could only imagine that they went barefoot outside the tent to look at something in the sky, and someone found them, confronted them at that particular moment, and marched them down under duress to die from exposure. And then when I went to Ekaterinburg, Ivan, who met me at the airport, he said, I was so enthusiastic, and I asked him, what do you believe? What do you believe? Why would they go so calmly down? Who ordered them to do that? And he said, there is no one can order Russian men in their prime, in a group like that, to march down. That must be some on their own will. Someone from their own have decided for them to go down for some reason. So he said there is no way that there won't be any confrontation if you order 9 men to do something. I mean, 7 men, the 2 were women, but especially in front of women to go down. But I couldn't make any sense. So I didn't know how this process of my involvement with the case will end up, because there is a lot to publish, and it's a very hard thing to do without any resolution, without idea, without a theory. I was blessed when Igor Pavlov gave me something to map everything in one picture, and it fits so perfectly. Everything that I learned, and every new information, every new fact, everything that I knew, because you have to realize that after the tree fell and they scrambled and struggled during the night and tried to go call for help, they died. It was all very natural. Then they were found, brought to the morgue. There were some of them, 6 of them, they were prepared. And then when the turn came and the madness became the messing with the minds of all these leaders at the regional level, and they decided to bring back the bodies that they already brought to the morgue. So actually they brought the 6 bodies back, and that's why they were found in such a weird poses, and some of them were clean, the rest were not, and they exchanged clothes, and nothing made sense in the items, the way they were found. Everything on location showed a lot of activity. It showed, because the group they spent a day there. They were camping. They were. This is how you access the water. You build the flooring. You put some branches so you can sit on them, so you can get comfortable to clean the dishes, to clean their. This is a very comfortable and long day. They were camping. They even wrote a satirical pamphlet. That takes time and a good mood to do that, to make jokes and write them. So they were just having a great day, a restful day before the ascent to Torten. And all of the signs on the location where the bodies were found are indicative about just that. Cutting branches, building the fireplace, cooking, and everything. This is not activity that could be done by people already freezing, dying, coming down the slope, trying to survive. That's why some people explain all this activity with them being blind, because they couldn't see what they were doing, because some of the branches were scattered around, but the fire was dying down. So why couldn't they see that there were branches around them? Why did they climb the tree to cut more branches or break more branches, or what were they doing down there? And also a strange fact, which the case is written with strange facts, is that the branches were cut with a knife, but no knife was found there. Also, there are some objects found that didn't belong to the group, like wrapping, some putti, or what we call military clothes, things that didn't belong to the group. There is one more finding that doesn't look like anything, is the storage. The group left half of their supplies and products into a storage, but the storage was not built the way it's supposed to be in the forest. In the forest, you lift it above the ground level, you hang things on trees. You should know that, all the creatures that can eat your supplies, and also you have to be able to find it when you come back. Nothing like that was done with the storage. The storage first was on a place where they were not supposed to be. It was close to the searchers' camp. Then when someone made a calculation of the rations, how many days were they gone and what they brought with them, there are 50 kilos of missing supplies. So even the storage seems like being tampered with, like put back later on when it was expected. The interesting thing in the investigation is that when something turns out that should be present, it becomes present in a very convenient place. Right then, when they said, well, but there should be 9 pair of skis, oops, suddenly a pair of skis appears out of nowhere. So it's like someone is right there, inserted in investigation, and just making up the numbers that are supposed to be in the inventory. There is for sure someone inside. And if you're looking for a Mansi, Yeti, or something like that, that could account only for the events at the tent, the confrontation at the tent. But the weirdness of this case continues up throughout the whole case, even after closing it. So different testimonies contradict to each other. So you have to look and try to explain all of them. What researchers do, they fancy a theory, they pick up 3 facts that comply with that theory, and everything that comes out of this picture, they just ignore it, just silence, nothing. No one explains the facts that don't fit their theory. What we're doing for the first time is that we believe that the how, the who, and the when are not related. When they died, how they died, and then who found them, and who put them in the place where we found them, they're not, they don't play by the same motive. They don't have a motive to find them dead. They don't want them dead. They just found them dead. They didn't even find them. Someone else find them. They're
Right.
just taking care of the bodies. And then suddenly they realize what the search is going to do to them and that they have to move the tent. But they can't just destroy the tent. They have to put it someplace. Otherwise, they will keep looking for the tent, and it's going to look even more mysterious and weird. So they have to put someplace the tent, but the tent shouldn't be in their backyard. And this is not a strange behavior. I don't know why people don't find it probable, the most natural explanation. Dump of bodies is so common among people that don't want to be related, involved with the incident. Even at the time in the site, I have on the site an area that features the supporting documents to the theory and the book, because there is no way that we can scan and show it's going to become I don't know how many volumes, because almost 80% of the book is in cursive, which means we're quoting documents. We don't have narrative. Only the last chapter is the speculation of our theory. Everything else is just following what happened, who said that, who said what, was present, all of the people involved, and we're showing the documents, because until now, before they were all translated, and Igor Pavlov put them into a context, because me alone, I could do all of the translation I could continue translating this case for the end of my life, but I couldn't put in context the discrepancies and the strange facts. I mean, I could say, oh, it's the tree. So see, me alone doing a book, I will be like any other theory. Oh, a tree killed them. Well, why there isn't a tree around the tent? Who moved the tent? I don't know. See, this is what the theories sound like. But Igor coming, he figured that out 10 years ago. He was sitting on the theory. He just wanted to see what are people making of the facts. And it was even at the end, he said, I was just looking at people drilling cores into the trunks of the trees to measure radioactivity and things like that. At the beginning, this is his words. At the beginning, he was jumping every time when he was seeing a film beam, a tree, someone approaching a tree, moving a tree, taking samples from a tree. And then he just gave up that anyone will ever think of a tree.
Right.
And we don't have, I know that you're looking for mystery from the sky or aberrations or whatever craziness. But in life, sometimes there are weirder things out of a very common elements that sound even more far-fetched than fiction. Something you can't even think of. And in our case, it's so normal, but because there were 3 plots on top of each other over the same poor souls, like the hike, the freak accident with the tree, which is not that freak. I mean, it's very common, but no one looks at that. Trees, they're present there. Then we have the normal practice of finding bodies, bringing them to the morgue, cleaning them, preparing them for burial. And then we have all this search, massive operation that comes and scares them up. They don't want to be involved, and their actions are not so much different from, let's say, a party where a teenager overdoses and his friends are dumping the body someplace that they cannot tell that they were together when it happened. That's exactly the mentality. But usually when it's not done on purpose and not done by experts, it creates a mess that no one can explain. There's so many deaths that could never be solved just because they were dumped and tampered with. And when I asked a coroner to read through the autopsy reports and just to give me his view of the case, they always said, I cannot exclude a tree, but if they were tampered, they were moved, and if the evidence was tampered with, I can never stand up in court and support a theory. I can tell that it's consistent with. This is exactly the words that they can say, and they said that it's consistent with incident with a fallen tree. Something more that's really complicating things. The bodies were frozen, and then when they were brought the first time to the morgue, they thawed before they were cleaned. But then they were dumped again, and they refreeze again. And I talked to a coroner who told me this precedent. When tourists, and this is nowadays, he's a modern times coroner. Today, if tourists die and they are waiting for the family to pick them up, or if they have to be autopsied and there is something not very clear, they are putting cameras to be frozen, correct? So he had these tourists that the family supposedly were coming to pick them up, and then they tested positive for COVID, so they were delayed. But the corpse was already defrosted, and they had to refreeze it. So there was a second coming trip of the family to pick up the body, and when they got the body out the second time from the freezer, there were some liquids starting coming out from the body. That's only natural for the processes in the body. So we can't even look at the bodies and the autopsies and judging who was cleaned and who not, because liquid can come out of your nostrils and orifices after you're frozen for second time. So to me, I'm not even looking anymore at theories of avalanche and snow slabs. I'm looking into the details of our theory and trying to make further progress into our findings, because they're confirmed by any fact and new document that it's published. For example, just before the book came out, and this is why I keep the area in the site, we actually, Natalia Versegova, the journalist that's dedicated from Komsomolskaya Pravda to this case, she's working on the case for 9 years, the same amount of years that I am involved with the case. And she's very good at it and really deep into this. She actually managed to do the exhumation with all the bureaucracy that goes in Russia. And she said, why did I mention Natalia Versegova now? I already forgot my thought.
Well, let me ask you a few questions here, because we only got about 3 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. And then we're going to continue with this when we get back. Okay. But there was a lot of major injuries that, maybe it's rumor, maybe it's conjecture, just conspiracy theory. But for the majority of us who have looked into this case, we've always heard about the tongue that was ripped out, or the missing eyeballs on someone, or the eyebrows.
Dave, please. It's not ripped out. The autopsy report says missing. And especially about the missing eyes and tongue, every pathologist that has been interviewed and questioned says that if a body is left for 3 months at the elements, especially where they're animals, and she spent the last 2 weeks of her the deterioration of the body in the water, the soft tissue is first to go, especially if you're with the open mouth. Your flesh has to go somehow, and the soft flesh goes first. And the tongue and the missing eyes are so common for bodies found in the open. Everyone says that. It's not ripped out. It says it's missing. But why would anyone rip out a tongue?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
It's missing. It's a 3-month-old corpse. Why are they not missing from the other bodies? Well, this is what makes the case so strange and rich and fertile. See, that's the controversy on this barren mountain, which is the Dead Mountain. Happens this incident that is I believe it's the world most fertile for theories case so far of all times, because right now it's snowballing with information towards the English-speaking world with new facts, new information. And I'm sure there are going to be people like me and you that are going to look into details, not just learn about the case from an article and trying to come up with the Yeti or something without looking into details, because this case is interesting into the details. Everything you look, it's so strange. They even have the terminology. They have a name for that. You're doing you're going Dyatlov on me. Like in Bulgaria, we had a missing mountaineer. He went missing. He died, but he's in the high mountain, and his tent was found open. And when I said, well, you don't leave the tent open if you're just going out to pee or something short. So why did he leave to go to ascend the peak and left the tent open? And my friend said, just don't go Dyatlov on me, okay? So this is like...
I'm going to get you to hold on right there because, we have probably 6 hours of questions for you to get into the next 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Teodora Hadjiyska is going the distance with us tonight, talking about the Dyatlov Pass. It's rare that we do this, but this is one of those special subjects with a very special guest. So we're going to skip the news and the thought of the day. Stick with Teddy on the Dyatlov Pass. Dyatlov.com is her website. We'll be back. Man, you gave me a good 1-2 punch there. Holy cow. I haven't had my ass tanned like that in a long time.
Well, the missing tongue and eyes. This is the easiest to explain, although everyone starts from this. There is a material in this case for so many books and movies.
I thought getting to the movie of it, I thought it was terrible.
Which movie?
The Dyatlov Pass movie, the Hollywood movie.
There are many. Yeah.
The Hollywood one that was made a few years ago, I thought it was terrible.
It is terrible because they're filling up the gaps with something that's not related to the case, and it's not interesting. But then we have Devil's Pass. It's zombies, bunker, and the Nazi, the teleportation.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible. That's the one I'm talking about. That was horrible.
Yeah, this got me into the case. This was the first movie where I learned that I just looked the real events it was based on.
Yeah, I literally remember watching that movie, and I was right into it up until the bullshit started, and I was like, how do you take this story, this fantastic story, and ruin it into
brutally?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't even just ruin the story. They murdered the story. I mean, you cannot hack and slash I don't even know how to get into it. It was horrible. Horrible movie. It's too bad. Then the time travel. Wow.
I know.
Oh. Somebody was on some big time drugs when they wrote that. They were on some big time drugs.
This is a theory on its own that the Dyatlov group took drugs, and that's what made them walk out, rip the tent, kill each other.
1 second here. Thank you, Anya, for the lovely super chat. Really do appreciate that. Thank you to Human Carl, Fast Hemi, Recluse, and TH as well for your great support of this show. Love it. Thank you so much. And we got about 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. Damn it. You kicked my ass good on that. Dave! Wake up, Dave! What the hell you doing, you stupid Canadian? Come on.
I never said that.
I know, but
I never said that. When I react like that, I react to everyone that would ask that question.
Oh, I know.
Because
I just
we
thought it
have
was
to
brilliant. I thought it was brilliant.
I liked you asked, because everyone is like, well, what about this and that? There's so many things that they will say. Well, radioactive clothes and the lights in the sky and the KGB agent Zolotaryov and so many.
Oh,
so
yes. Yep. Your facts are ruining this story for a lot of people.
I will quote you.
There is my my quote for your website. Teddy's facts of the Dyatlov Pass incident will ruin everyone else. Oh my God. Oh man. We have about 1 minute. Jim, I'll get to your questions here in a minute. It's so much fun. So much fun.
I always imagine what would Dyatlov group do if they hear all the theories about their deaths. Can you imagine? They're like,
I say we got a remote view in there. Check it on out. Jim, I will say there was no Bigfoot photo. That was a photo of one of the hikers going into the trees to take a piss, I believe.
yes, you have to look the frames before that.
Yes. Hold on 1 second. We got 5 seconds. Rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in to this wild, wacky show we call Spaced Out Radio. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We welcome back Teddy Hadjiyska from Dyatlov Pass. Normally we get to the news. Normally we are going into the news wire the Captain Shirk sets up, but Captain Shirk said, Dave, if you could get her on for the full show, I won't be mad at you and kick your butt for skipping the news tonight. So that's what we're doing. We got permission from the captain, and that's what we are. Teddy's website, dyatlovpass.com. She also has a great book that I know a few of our listeners have already bought tonight on Amazon because of her. And the book is called 1079. The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass. Teddy, welcome back.
Good to be on the extension, because there is nothing normal about this case. So we're not going normal on your show.
No, because it's aliens. You know, you think it's a tree, I think it's aliens. You know, I've got my You've Got Aliens t-shirt on, so I'm leaning that way. But that's just me. Who am I? But nonetheless, during that time when these hikers were found, were there a lot of footprints noticed in the snow, not just from the hikers, but from other people, adventurers, military, whomever? Because that's one thing snow is very good at.
Yeah, no, but there is so much wind there, and there is constantly lifting the snow, and putting it someplace else, the traces are really lost very fast. They were said not to be any other traces of outsiders or anything, animals, nothing. But then again, the first day when they found the tent, nothing was preserved because they didn't know if they're looking for survivors, if it's a rescue or a, recovery mission. So they didn't see any traces. At least this is what we know. But the photos they made of the footprints, of the alleged footprints of the hikers, we see shoe imprint in the snow. Then in the book, I'm publishing the opinion of an expert, forensic expert in traceology. I showed him all available pictures from the case files of the footprints, and he says, without knowing anything about the case, that those tracks are left by feet in shoes. And he's certain about that. I have the opinion of 2 traceologists. And there are just a few people in the case files that claim that you could see that those are bare feet, the footprints, and they found the bodies without shoes on them. So it's very easy to conclude, since there's no one else in the area, and those are presumed to be the footprints left from the hikers till today, that they are without, since they don't wear skis, they must be barefoot because their shoes are in the tent. How else can they leave these footprints? But looking at the footprints, you cannot see any tracks of toes or anything. You just see, I don't know if the listeners are familiar with the photos. They are sticking out, actually. They're not embossed in the snow, where you can easily see at the bottom the track of the sole or the imprint of the toes. They're sticking out, and the surface of the top is really smoothed by the wind, so you can't see any tracks. You presume that those are the inner boots that some of them are wearing, or the 3 pair of socks that they're wearing, but you can't. You do have a clear photo of a shoe, and our theory very brilliantly explains that these tracks are left by the people that went up and down the slope to put the tent there, to move the tent. They were not in a hurry. They were just staging the tent. They didn't want the tent down there where they were working, and they went up and down without intending for the footprints to be preserved. They didn't count on, they didn't know. They didn't know what they're doing. They just wanted the tent out of the area they would be found responsible for the accident. By the way, I remembered why I mentioned Natalia Versegova, so I don't want to sound like demented here. The Russian journalist, she keeps adding up a very valuable information about the case. She found the identity of Shestopalov, one of the people. We're naming the people. We point their exact lives and where they stood and what their character. We have photos of the people that could be responsible for all this mystery. And just before publishing the book, we found the identity of Shestopalov. Usually people that were present in the search and took part, they keep talking, publishing books, giving interviews, answering questions. They're all over the place. People claiming to take part much at a greater extent that they actually did, what we see in recent publications. But Shestopalov and the rest, the 4 leaders that we think were involved in the conspiracy, they never said a word to their families. They actually said something that sounded like just keep quiet, be silent if you want to survive. Meaning that if you want to keep living the life you're having right now, just don't ask questions. Don't even go near this case. Just keep quiet. Don't say a word. Those are the people directly involved in the search. why don't they want to talk about their participation in such a popular case? This is what Igor Pavlov wanted to call our book, actually. If you want to survive, don't say a word. I want to say that this is a bigger project than just publishing a book in English, because the manuscript is written by Igor Pavlov in Russian. Then I added some crash course and trying to get the reader into the shallow end of the pool, because if you push them from the diving board right into the deep of this case, they will lose it. I can't just expose them to all the facts that Igor Pavlov gave me. So the book is called, it's so weird. We're trying to find a title that I can translate literally into English. And since if you want to live, don't say a word, doesn't really translate as good as it sounds in Russian. Igor Pavlov, one day, a week before we published the book, said, I dreamt that my book is called with the name of the mountain where they died. And actually in 1959, Holatsa, which much later we learned that it means dead mountain because of this case. In all of the documents and in all of the maps is just Hate 1079. This is the name of the book. This is the name of the mountain where the incident happened. All the maps, in all the case files, everywhere it's called Hate 1079. And then we have the overwhelming force of the Dyatlov Pass, because this is the official conclusion of the investigation in 1959, that they died from an overwhelming force, which sounds like a natural force that they couldn't overcome. They were really overpowered by a natural force. And although everyone says that this is nonsense and it was just made up by direct order from above, they can know how close they were to the truth, because this is exactly what killed them.
How did they get the log off of the 3 people it killed? Because you'd either have to cut.
Well, the hikers didn't.
Well, that must not have been a very big tree then.
The trees there are not very big.
Which would make sense, because in the north, the trees get smaller. The further north you go, the trees get smaller. Like you look at a place like mine, it's nothing to see a 100-foot tree. But you go...
And they're very crooked in that birch tree forest there. And they're very strange trees. They're big trees like the cedar tree, but all of the coroners, when I showed them the pictures and the injuries, they said that if a big tree falls on top of someone, you will be squashed. You can't even be in a shape of a human. But then again, it depends how the tree falls and if there are branches propping underneath, because the tree that killed that woman that I mentioned, I went to see in the morgue, it was a huge 4-trunk split tree, and just half of it fell on top. And it's a huge tree, and she didn't even have a bone broken, because sometimes, there are branches that are underneath the trunk, so the trunk doesn't lay flat on top of the human body, and you can have all kinds of injuries, but usually they're really, really little and very bad if it hits you the right way. And they were all clustered in the tent, because all of them had minor scratches and bruising, but some of them were really dead. And more people had to come and remove the tree. The hikers themselves, so stressed out and injured and disoriented, because a lot of them, I'm sure, had been hit in the head. Sometimes this injury leaves you without any apparent trauma, but it's really takes you out of normal mobility and sense for a while. They could have been really not fully aware of what's going on because it's a great stress. This is something that you are not prepared ever, even if it had happened to you before. It is a tremendous experience, and I don't believe they were fully aware of how to handle it, what to do. Can you imagine in the middle of the night, this coming, crashing on top of the tent, leaving people dead underneath? Can you imagine what that makes to the surviving that could still do something? The shouting, the panic, the disorientation, what to do, if to look for help. If I'm sure that they tried together to move the trunk, but they couldn't. They cut. How else can you explain the cuts in the tent? Why are people so adamant to look for frenzy and fear that wasn't real? Because if you want to go, people ask me, how do you comment on a UFO? Well, no UFO has ever killed anyone. If there is something you want to look in the sky, you don't cut open the tent, right? You go through the exit. Then how infrasound affects you? Well, you feel really uncomfortable according to what I have read about it, but you don't cut up the tent to get out. You just go out and try to get at a distance.
That's the big thing, though. Okay, like if I hear noise and something's happened, I'm not cutting out the tent, running around in minus 50 degree weather in my underwear.
Yeah, in a straight line and very calmly.
Exactly. I'm not doing that. I'm immediately trying the zipper first and foremost, and number two, I'm going to make sure I'm dressed first. Because I've been in almost that cold weather, and there's no way I'm going to be down in my underwear in that type of temperature. No way. It's too cold.
Yeah, but if a tree falls on top of you and you really don't know what is going on, and it's so much panic and death around you, that can take you out of your comfort zone right there. You stop thinking about yourself and your survival. You are trying to get the rest out of under the tree, and that is draining your force, your strength for long exposure. In the middle of the night, it's minus 40. This is the temperature that we experienced while we were on the pass, and you are running in circles like crazy for hours and hours, and this is what killed the rest. They just stopped moving. This is what the coroner said. They died because they stopped moving from total exhaustion. They couldn't move anymore. So if you run uphill for help in your underwear, sooner or later, this is how you end up. Just stop moving.
Well,
this
of course, you're going to freeze. And at that temperature,
Yeah.
It's very easy to freeze. It doesn't take long.
Yeah. So they're asking what do you make out of the defense wounds and the scratches and the bruising on the waist and this and that? Well, a tree can cause that. Also, if you are struggling to remove objects and try to help and cutting and you're in the dark, this is exactly what you end up with. If you're trying with your bare frozen hands, struggling with tree branches and cutting up the tent and then groping to stones and ridges and going up the slope, this is exactly what the injuries will look like. And then you have the tree dead under the tree, the injuries that no one can explain. It's like the elephant in the room. Everyone is trying to explain the little things, but no one actually can account for these broken bones and skull. And a tree makes perfect sense.
Except to move it.
Yeah, well, they didn't move it. The people that found them, that found the bodies, they found the bodies still trapped under the tree. The tree was moved and the tent was pulled out from under the tree in daylight, in a normal, from people that are fully equipped and healthy. This happened much later. Basically, the group was dead under the tree, inside the tent, and running around. This is how it ended for them. The second part started normal with recovery, and then someone wanted not to be involved and just move the tree and put the bodies back. None of this is really so extraordinary that you cannot imagine why would anyone do that. Any other theory, it's pushing forward much more inexplicable either behavior or a phenomenon or a crazy non-existing things. Like, how do you die from a falling rocket or a test missile? Okay, you get scared, you go down, and then what happens? Because they died in a span of hours. Nothing killed them right there up on the slope. They died down in the ravine, and the tent was not there. So how did it happen that they died there?
That I have
anyway,
no idea.
I don't see any theory that explain these facts. And what I want people to ask me how our theory explains a certain fact or behavior of certain person. Give me that.
With 2 minutes to go, and this is going quick. Like I said, we need another 6 hours. Has anybody from the Kremlin or anybody formerly KGB confirmed your theory?
Why would they be even discussing my theory? It has nothing to do with KGB or Kremlin. And our theory, it's very novel. I'm mentioning for first time on your show publicly outside the book. I don't even know if they are aware of this theory because this is a self-published book. We don't have a marketing or official, the presentation. It will still be in the future presented by the foundation or read by Kremlin. I don't know. I think that there are still people that can confirm our theory. Maybe someone shared something, will come forward. Because this is the first time when we explain something that people may believe. No one will believe me that this is possible. I don't know. We're pushing forward something that explains everything, all the sightings, all the weirdness. Now you're asking for confirmation from witnesses or someone, a hearsay that share with witnesses. I would rather go and find the tree on the spot, because when I was on Dyatlov Pass, I was not looking for a tree. I didn't know this theory.
Well, darn it, you got to go back. Teddy,
I do.
I want to say thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. You are the best when it comes to the Dyatlov Pass incident. Much love to you, and good luck in your success with your brand new book, 1079, The Overwhelming Force of Dyatlov Pass. And what a great show. I'm going to get you to hold on here because, we got to start to wrap things up. Dyatlovpass.com is Teddy's website. She tells it like it is. She kicked my butt a couple of times on here. I'm bruised. I'm leaving this show bruised, and I love it because that's the way it goes sometimes. And Teddy is just fantastic. You can reach her. You can find all the information. The greatest encyclopedia on this, Dyatlovpass.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAP, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me,
we're watching.
We own the night, Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yep, we've got room for them too. Good night.